Hi everyone, in this video I am going to show you how to fill out the assessment report for library instruction. You are going to put your name, easy enough, and there are two steps in the assessment process. Most of us are going to be completing initial assessment. This is when we teach library instruction and then we assess how it went. When we teach the same session again to a different set of students, we can come back to the form and fill out step 2, which is assessment following intervention. You might do both at the same time if perhaps you taught library instruction at 10 o'clock and then later you taught at noon and you changed something in between those two sessions. But in general, you're going to be doing initial assessment. Then you choose your academic year that you're assessing in and what you're reporting on. In my example, I am assessing a one-shot library instruction that I did for a Psychology 290 class. We have not designed Common Course assessment, so for this question, you are going to say no, faculty for this course have not designed a Common Course assessment. The number of interactions is the number of students that you served. In my class, I had 20 students. I was the one full-time faculty person who was part of the assessment, and I had 0 part-timers who were part of the assessment. And we have several institutional learning outcomes, ILOs, at GCC. Um, there might be more than one check mark that you make here. It's almost always going to be information literacy. It might be some of these other skills like critical thinking. I'm going to select information literacy right now. And then which area or areas of information literacy are being assessed. I taught students how to access the information they need and how to use it to accomplish a specific purpose. And also, they were evaluating as well. I think I really focused on accessing in this session. I did not use an ILO rubric in Canvas. Most of us are going to say no to this. Unless you're teaching a course, you are probably not using the ILO rubric. I think the semester is fairly straightforward. Here for the student learning outcome, there are some examples, or there is an example about how to write a student learning outcome. And mine was by the end of the session, students will be able to retrieve scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles in psychology for use in designing their Psych 290 experiments. So I just want to be clear that here you are not measuring student satisfaction. Of course, we want the students to be happy with our instruction and to feel like we were friendly and informative, but this is really measuring whether or not they were able to do something specifically. And I can answer more questions about that if you have any. In this particular library session, I lectured to them, I gave them demonstrations, and I had them work in groups. So you would check mark anything that applied to how you delivered the information to the students. Here's a small chart telling you the difference between formative assessment and summative assessment. And then you need to decide what type of assessment you're doing. And I will admit I always get confused here, but you're going to type something in like I did formative direct assessment or I did formative indirect assessment. So just read this chart carefully and I think it's fairly straightforward. For my scoring measures, I didn't do things like a pre-test and a post-test. I did not have them take a practice quiz. What I did is I had students email me examples of peer-reviewed articles. And these were specific to their design for their So I was able to count how many of the students successfully found a scholarly peer-reviewed article and whether it applied to the research they were doing as they were designing their experiments. You are going to say what percentage of the students were able to successfully complete proficiency. So if all 20 of my students did well, I would put 100%. Maybe only 80% of them found a peer-reviewed article, and a couple of them sent me some garbage. Then I would say that it wasn't 100% proficiency. But you need to put a whole number right here, and there's some instructions there, so you can do the math. Um, you can describe your achievement results here. In fact, you are required to describe them. You're just kind of reflecting about the proficiency, and be sure not to include any identifiable student information. And right now, I have not taught the class again. So in this example, I am not yet ready to report intervention results because I have not yet intervened and reassessed. And obviously for our one-shots, we are not going to have the same set of students. I will have 20 different students when I teach this in spring. But when I teach it in spring, if I have changed something about my delivery, then I would come back and I would report on the intervention and those results. Then I might think about things I want to change for what I'm going to teach in spring. Maybe I want to make some improvements to what I'm teaching them, or maybe I want to change my assessment measures. Um, Perhaps I want to revise my plan for assessment. You can decide here what you might want to do, and this is not committing you to making that exact change. So don't feel like once you check mark a box, you're locked in. This is just for you to think about things that you might change. This is an optional field for notes, and when you're all done, just click Submit. Ask Karen or Renee if you have any questions. We would be happy to answer.